Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Review Flicks. In this video, we're going to be talking about the official confirmation that Saw 11 is going to be landing next year in theaters. So guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, stay up to date with all the movie news we have going on around here. And with that down, let's jump into the Saw news. So this news story comes to us courtesy of Screen Rant. Saw 11 officially confirmed by Lionsgate and is coming much sooner than expected, which is great news for us horror fans, of course. So Saw 11 is officially happening at Lionsgate, with the long-running horror franchise set to release its next installment in less than 1 year. This is fantastic news. I love these Saw movies. The Saw franchise is like dumb fun, turn your brain off, put people in some traps, gory times happen, it's a good time at the theatres. Who would have thought this franchise that started back in 2004, nearly 20 years later, and the Saw franchise is still going strong? This latest movie, obviously, we had the return of John Kramer, which, the Saw franchise kind of revolves around. They killed him off earlier in the franchise than they should have. The last few movies haven't had John Kramer in it, but, the last movie did, and it went on to make quite a lot of money for, the amount of budget that it had, and it was, critically received quite well. So, obviously, they were going to go on to do another one because it was financially successful last time, which is great news, and it's coming in less than a year. Fantastic news. We don't have to wait too long to get more Jigsaw goodness. But let's keep reading, guys, and see what we can learn about this upcoming Saw 11 movie. So, following the success of the 10th movie earlier this year, Saw 11 has been confirmed by Lionsgate. The long-running horror franchise made an impressive return to form with Saw 10 in the fall of 2023, with the installment bringing back Jigsaw, Tobin Bell. He's so good. He's so good in the Jigsaw role. For another gruesome cat and mouse game, the movie earned the best reviews of the entire Saw franchise. So guys, it was critically, it critically did really well. And I believe it only had like a $13 million budget, and it made over $100 million, at the box office. So it did really well for the amount of budget that it had. Now, months after Saw 10 terrorized theaters, Lionsgate shares the news that Saw 11 is on its way. The movie was announced on Instagram with an ominous post that came with the caption, "The game continues, check it out below." So we have this post here from Instagram, just says the game continues. We've got these Roman numerals, obviously number 11 has been highlighted, and it doesn't give us any indication as to what the story could be or anything like that. It's literally just the first announcement confirming that we are going to get a Saw film next year, which is great because, as I say, guys, these movies coming out around the Halloween period is so fun to turn your brain off. Go and watch these gruesome films, people being in these silly traps. And the Saw franchise has become iconic, amongst horror fans. And it's just really, really fun. And Tobin Bell is Jigsaw, man. He is so good in that role. But guys, towards the end of the video, we're going to hop over to Instagram, where this post was put up. And we're going to read some of your comments and see what some of you guys are saying about it. Because I'll be interested to, hear the kind of comments that people are saying about it. So a few details have been revealed. But the studio confirms the movie will arrive in theaters on September 27th. 2024. The image depicts the date in Roman numerals, while the specific number 11 is highlighted in red, which we already talked about. So guys, mark your calendar, September 27th, 2024. So as I say, this is going to come out just before Halloween next year. So if you love the Saw franchise, we've got another great movie to watch around the Halloween period, and I'm looking forward to it. But as to where they go from here, it's going to be very interesting where they take the story next. And we'll have to wait and see on that, guys. So with Saw 10, the body horror franchise scored its first ever fresh movie on Rotten Tomatoes. First ever fresh movie, that's interesting. So earning an 80% critic score, which is actually really good. And even better, 89% audience score. That's really good. So financially, the movie couldn't compare to the box office heights of the earlier installments reached. But it was considered an improvement upon the most recent entries. Saw 10, grossed $107 million worldwide, the 6th highest grossing title in the franchise overall. That, coupled with the positive audience reactions, seemed to suggest another movie was very likely. So, as to where they can go next with the franchise, that's kind of the question on everybody's mind, because Saw 10 took place between Saw 1 and 2. So, are they going to continue, telling stories before Saw 2 happened? Because in the franchise, they killed off John Kramer very early into the franchise, which the directors have come out and said that they made a huge mistake, and they had to continue the Saw franchise without John Kramer and without Tobin Bell's character of Jigsaw, and they had to kind of dance around the issue, and the stories kind of lacked because of the fact that Jigsaw himself wasn't actually in the movies. But let's read on, guys, and see what they're going to do regarding that kind of issue of having, the timeline kind of being a bit messed up. So now the biggest question is where the Saw 11 fits in with the overall timeline, which is what we were just saying, guys. So its predecessor was a prequel that slotted in between the original Saw and Saw 2, a move that was necessary in order to ensure Jigsaw's direct involvement. Based on the Saw 10 ending and its post-credit scene, guys, it's a spoiler here. If you don't want to know what happens at the end of Saw 10, go and watch it and then come back to the video, but there is a spoiler here. I'm assuming if you haven't seen Saw 10 by now, you're probably not interested anyway. So let's continue. Where are we? Post-credit scene. It seems likely that the end of the new movie will also come before the second film in the overall franchise. The final moments of the Saw 10 featured the return of Mark Hoffman, as he and Jigsaw laid up another trap for Henry Kessler, one of the con artists who tried to trick Jigsaw previously. So there we have it, guys. So Mark Hoffman obviously returned at the end of Saw 10, but technically it was before Saw 2, if that makes sense, because that's where the film slotted in. So that's that, guys. Mark Hoffman's there. I'm sure he's going to appear in this next movie. If it takes place before Saw 2, then he's going to be in there because he's kind of Jigsaw's apprentice at that point. So I'm sure we're going to get him in there somewhere. But it's great to see him back. A lot of people were excited that he popped up at the end of Saw 10. And I'm looking forward to having him in the next Saw movie because I think he's a great addition to this franchise. So we have a note here in the Saw timeline. Jigsaw dies in 2006 Saw 3. Yeah, I thought it was in 2006, like I said earlier in the video. And they kind of wrote themselves into a corner because they probably didn't realize at the time how much this franchise was going to blow up. They decided to kill off Jigsaw, but they kind of made a huge mistake because, now they've wrote themselves into a corner. So from 2006 onwards, obviously John Kramer, Jigsaw, is now dead. So all of the stories that you tell from this point onwards in the Saw franchise, well, in this timeline anyway, they have to tell before 2006 when John Kramer was still alive. If it was up to me, I feel that they should just completely reboot the franchise back to a fresh start. You can keep Tobin Bell as Jigsaw, but just restart the timeline fresh. The first time the Jigsaw killer arrives, have him as Tobin Bell, just, reboot the timeline nice and fresh from the beginning, but keep the same actor as the role of Jigsaw. I don't see why they don't just do that. I think it would work, and I think people will be on board for it. That way, they're not wrote into a corner. But guys, we're going to head over to Instagram. We're going to read the comment section on this official announcement of Saw 11, and let's see what people are saying about it. Landing over here on Instagram, or the Gram, as kids are calling it these days. Apparently, that's the cool thing to call it, so I'm going to call it the Gram. We have the post from Lionsgate showing the official announcement for Saw 11. So let's read some of these comments. Okay, so it's never going to end. Hopefully it doesn't, because as I say, Saw is a super fun franchise. I would die happy if I got one of these movies every year for the rest of my life. Whether Tobin Bell's in it or not. They're so fun. Seeing the traps, they're so inventive and creative, and it's just cheesy good fun at the movies. So, am I the only one who thinks that if we have to see another Saw, like Saw X, it's going to be better to hide? It's better to hide. Better hide from it because it's a bad movie, or hide from it because it's too scary? It definitely was very gory. There was part of the movie, there was a trap where some girl had to saw her own leg off, and that scene was just horrendous. I'm not very squeamish when it comes to horror movies, but that scene where she had to chop her own leg off, damn, that was just absolute carnage. It was so bad. Hoffman better be the main character. He's not going to be the main character. Tobin Bell will be the main character. He's going to be in the supporting role, hopefully. As I say, he adds a lot to the franchise, and I know a lot of fans will be excited to see him. So I'm hoping that he does pop up in the next installment. So we need a movie focusing on Hoffman. Yeah, I think that will happen at some point. I mean, you got to think Tobin Bell, I believe he's 81 years old. So he's not going to have many years left in him to keep doing these movies. So at some point, they're going to have to, reinvent the Saw franchise ever so slightly. So maybe Hoffman's character could be the next Jigsaw that they focus on after Tobin Bell maybe retires from acting. So bringing Adam back. Yeah, Adam was quite cool. I enjoyed his character. But he died at the end of the first movie. He was trapped in the room where he was attached, to the pipes. He was just left there to die. And then in subsequent movies, they went back to the same room and saw him that he was dead. So it's going to be hard to bring him back when he's kind of dead. We back to yearly Saw movies. What is this, 2000s? I'm living for it. Yeah, I don't care. Just give me a movie every year. The thing is, these movies, right, they don't require any special effects. You know, they don't require these big actors with crazy, salaries. They can be made for pocket change, so cheap. And they can pump out these movies year after year. They can make financial gains. And as long as people are, interested in seeing them, then there's no reason why they won't continue to pump them out year after year. Thank God it wasn't Josh Hutcherson whistle edit. I'm not sure what that means. Adam, please come back. He's dead. He was the guy in the first movie. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, guys, if I am, I do apologize, but I believe he was the guy in the very first movie who was chained up to the pipe, and then he was left there to die at the end of the first movie. If I'm getting the name incorrect, then I do apologize. I beg you, please let me be in the next one. I don't even have to say any lines. You can kill me off at any time. I think there would be a lot of people that would volunteer to be in one of these traps in the movie, like just for fun. And I'm not sure that I would, because it would probably give me nightmares. But all the more power to you if that interests you. So let's read a few more, guys, and then we'll finish off. Yes, please don't waste Tobin Bell. He is a star and the best in the franchise. As I say, though, guys, he is 81 years old. So, at the end of the day, how much longer can he sustain being an actor in these films? 81 years old to be an actor, still working, is very, I give him all the credit in the world for acting at that age. But he's not going to have many years left in him, if we're honest with ourselves, guys. So, that's kind of where we are. So, that's where we are, guys. So, Lionsgate has come out on Instagram, officially announced a Saw 11 coming out in September of next year. I can't wait to see it. The last film was super fun with Tobin Bell coming back as Jigsaw. It was so gory, it was so cheesy, everything that we expect from the Saw franchise. So guys, jump into the comment section, let me know what you think about this announcement of a Saw 11. Are you looking forward to seeing what's next in the franchise? Potentially Hoffman's character coming back? I can't wait to see what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon.